Can I say, why has this got? These are lingonberries, are they, or cherries on the front on the title?
I think
because the Norwegian version has got the castle in the Pyrenees on it.
yes.
Why has this got this funny
Yes.
cover?
To be honest,
Yeah, be honest.
may I, Louise?
Yes.
She's representing my publishing
Is
house.
she representing your
Yeah.
truthfulness?
I don't really understand why there are so many cherries here. In the end, when she is sitting out at the sea, I mean at seafront, typing with a long what do you call this?
Cord.
Cord to the house, writing to him. She's eating cherries.
Oh.
So that is, and her husband, who's jealous, I think, about her writing, he is also coming and having some cherries. But I think that when they made it two cherries, it is right. To try to present the book as two lovers, a love story. This cover is a cover saying that this is a book for females. It's not. It's definitely, for instance, he is sitting, traveling with a train and bus all through Norway, crossing the mountain range, And this physicist, he is rethinking, he is remembering and telling the reader the whole entire history of this universe since the Big Bang, 13.7 billion years from now.
It's a long bus trip.
So it's a long bus trip, and it's not a very feminine bus trip.
Oh, it's very, very masculine, the bus trip.
No,
but you used the word fate before. You used the word fate before.
Yes.
And the question about whether these people were fated to meet and whether their end is fated. And I mean, I can't believe you believe in fate, because I also know that you are a very active, you're an activist for people to understand climate change. And if you believe that fate holds everything in its hand, why would you try to change anything about the way we're going?
When they start to mail each other, apart from a lot of hints to their old love story and so on, is whether it was a coincidence. If it was random that they just, met at that. She's convinced it was not no coincidence. But he is a rational, scientific-oriented person, so he is convinced it's a coincidence. So, of course, if you believe in fate, you also believe in these coincidences, I myself, again, the word believe means what I think is most probable. I have experienced so many strange coincidences in my life that I could tip over and really believe in some kind of guidance by fate,
But then couldn't you then believe that the fact that the world is warming up and it's looking tragic is fate, and so why worry? Somebody else is looking after it.
I am completely convinced that there is no fate behind the global warming. I think it's absolutely an expression of human blindness or our lack of ability to work together. Now, we know that all the nations in the universe, all the nations, will cooperate 100% well in the future. If not, it's a ruin of our civilization. So it's that serious. What fascinates me is I know that also in Australia you have a lot of climate skepticism, But for me it's very, very, very simple chemistry. We learn this simple chemistry when we are 9 years old. Now, on this planet, there are huge amounts of oil reserves, millions of years old, and coal and gas. And, of course, forests also are keeping carbon. Now, what we're doing, what we started to do during the Industrial Revolution, was that we started to burn all these reserves of fuel. We oxidized it. So carbon became carbon plus oxygen. Carbon became carbon dioxide. And the difference between carbon and carbon dioxide is that carbon cannot fly. But carbon dioxide can fly. And they adore these particles to be out there, causing, of course, an increasing greenhouse effect. There is a man from Melbourne who has actually written a very good introduction to this called Tim Flannery. We do know that at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, it was 275 so-called parts per million particles of carbon dioxide. It has then increased until today, 387 parts per million. Next year, 289. Next year, 291. And this just will go on and go on and go on. Until, I'm an optimist, we will reshape. We break out of this regime. I'm convinced we will. And for me, there is no alternative to be optimist.
You talked about the Declaration of Human Rights being the sum total of, I suppose, Western civilization's idea about what is a human being and what do we owe each other.
Yes.
But you're saying now that we really need to get together and have another kind of declaration.
Yes, because, I think that maybe the most important achievement of philosophy, actually, of literature, of human intellect, were this Universal Declaration of Human Rights from 1948. And, of course, they are so extremely important, and still today human rights are violated in many places, of course. We have to fight for them. But we cannot anymore only focus on human rights. We must focus on human responsibilities. So time is perhaps right for the growth of a new universal declaration, a universal declaration of human obligations. And in a way, that is a process that started from its first beginning in Kyoto. It was very disappointing. We didn't go any further in Copenhagen. But we know that this process will go on. And, this is a writers' festival, And what is a writers' festival? What is literature? It's a celebration of human consciousness. So shouldn't then writers be in the forefront as vanguards to defend human consciousness from being annihilated?
Is that why you write?
No, but I think I have a responsibility. Who were shaping and defending human rights? Of course, many people, but very many authors, like Voltaire. He had to escape from France and go to England, and you have seen through the dictatorship in Soviet Union, for instance, Solzhenitsyn, writers were protecting the freedom of speech. And I think, as a parallel, writers who are really, we are writing a poem, a haiku poem. What is a haiku poem? It's a celebration of the unique consciousness. Now that is, do you say at peril or in peril?
In peril.
In peril. We have had this universal perspective. Maybe this planet is the only place in the entire universe where we have this universal consciousness. This consciousness about this enigmatic, huge universe. Then it's not only a global responsibility to preserve life conditions on Earth. It's a cosmic responsibility. Let me just say one thing more to this. I meet environmentalists sometimes who are saying that Gaia, Mother Earth, for the time being, is sick. And that is because she has a fever. Global heating, fever. And we are the microbes, the small bacteria that are causing Gaia's disease. But soon, very soon, Gaia will get rid of us. And then she will be healthy again. No, I cannot accept that thought. I think it's a kind of ecofascism, you know, because I think this planet is very different with human beings on it, different than without. There's a lot of shit to say about human behavior, but it's ambiguous. We are extraordinary. I mean,
because we try and understand what we're here for.
Yes, isn't it amazing that, you know, this is science, really, that you know, we couldn't have a bigger brain than we have because of the women had to walk. I mean, if they should give birth to bigger heads, they couldn't go around. So it's a very equilibrium that actually our brains are exactly as big to write the equation E is mc energy. Yeah. I mean, we do understand. People have told me always, why do you ask all these questions? You don't have the answers. It's just like, before people said, just like discussing the backside of the moon. And that is impossible to say something about. Not anymore. After Apollo, we can go to any bookstore in this city and buy detailed maps of the backside of the moon. And imagine how much more we understand today than just a few. I mean, the last 100 years. Let's start 1905. That was Einstein's theory of relativism. In the 20s, 30s, Hubble, he discovered that Andromeda, it's not a star, it's a galaxy, and that the galaxies are going, you know, expanding universe. In 1953, Crick and Watson gave a detailed description of the DNA molecule. Now we know the human genome, you know.
Are you going to be sad that in 500 years you'll be dead and you won't know what there is to know?
I talked with a very, very distinguished and very old Norwegian philosopher. He was, maybe when I had a talk with him, he was 85. It was about 12 years before he died. And we talked about this. And I asked him how he felt going old. Oh, yeah, I would like to live 20 or 30 more years, you know, to have more understanding. But we will never understand it all. The more we understand, the more questions. I mean, if our human brain was so simply constructed that we could completely understand it, then we would have been so stupid that we wouldn't understand it anyway.